This is episode 102, Focus on Customer Service. You do not know what you are doing. What do I mean by that? Well, do you know what the customer wants specifically with the things you're building today? If not, why not? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to our Schroeder podcast for Saturdays, where we provide content for foremen. Today's going to provide a remarkable vision for how we can execute quality out in the field and really focus on customer service needs. I love this because it's been on my mind lately. I had a person call me the other day about starting a company and was talking about hiring workers, not as piece workers, but workers inside the company that would be well trained and that would have a quality process and who would be taught to stop if they saw or sensed or heard or knew that something wasn't going in per customer requirements. And I thought, how fantastic would that be? And if all of our contractors in this industry, in these areas, coast to coast, would actually do that and install work the right way. And I just think that's over the top. And that's what today's podcast is going to focus on. And I want to thank all of the foremen out there that are really taking the time to train their workers and that are focusing on the end user, the end customer, and the person who's paying for the things that we're building and not treating it like it's a manufacturing plant or that you're manufacturing something over and over and over without considering the customer need. I saw the other day a foreman that was doing this. We were in a meeting with a number of other people. We were talking about certain areas of the project being behind. We were putting that into task force, and we with a trade partner were on that task force working daily to figure out this problem and to get back on schedule. And it really came down to the fact that we had enough people, we have enough manpower, we have the materials, but we don't have foremen organizing and installing things in a quality manner. And it was upsetting the inspector. And we got to this one foreman and he said, I don't know what to say. I have a wonderful relationship with the inspector and all of my guys know exactly what they do. I start my day in the morning. I have lists per worker of all of the things I want them to do, how I want them to do it, what the expectations are. And I huddle with them and I teach them in the morning exactly what I expect. And I know 100% that it's exactly what the municipal inspector wants every single time. And so we don't have any issues. And I brought up in that meeting, I said, well, can we get every foreman doing that? And there was a little bit of pushback. People have different ways. They didn't really want to synchronize those efforts. And I was just like, oh my gosh, please. I didn't say that in the meeting, but I'm like, please, please, please do this. We can all see a system that works. Why are we in this industry being so stubborn that we're actually not implementing it? It's just simple. It's so simple. It deals with mentoring. It deals with being clear on expectations. It deals with lining people out with standard work and doing the things that we need to do to take care of our customers. And so I want to thank any of the foremen out there that are doing this. You are my hero. Your workers are my heroes. You are making a difference in this industry to bring forward quality and take care of our customers, the people that pay for these projects, these buildings, and what we're actually building. And so if you don't know what the customer wants, you're not building it correctly. I often talk in morning meetings with the workers whenever I have an opportunity to attend a huddle. I say, if I go to Cold Stone Ice Cream and I order a sweet cream ice cream with butter pecan and I have my add-ins, I have caramel, I have my 3 teaspoons of chocolate shavings that I want in there, and they don't give it to me. They, give me a chocolate ice cream with that I didn't want. And they're like, hey, pay me the $5. I'm like, I'm not paying you the $5. I ordered sweet cream mixed with butter pecan with chocolate shavings with caramel. Like, I didn't order a chocolate ice cream. And they say, well, I got it out. I made it for you. Here's the chocolate ice cream. I need you to pay for this. I don't know what to tell you. I am not paying for this. I did not order that. And that's what we're doing in construction when we go build something the customer doesn't want. And then we say, oh, that's a change order. You have to pay, or here's the bill. but they didn't want it. Why are people paying for things that they don't want? Why are we asking people to pay for things that they didn't want in the first place? I also remember, and I've told you this before, somebody gave me a very good example. If I went to a Ford dealership and I ordered an F-350 with off-road tires, but the dealer said, you're in town, you live in the center of Phoenix, you're not going to take this off-roading. I've already checked with your family. You need an F-150, just standard, not even a 4x4. That's what we're going to sell you. I would literally walk away. I would say, you have no idea what I want. If I want to drive around an F-350 with off-road tires in the city and never go to the mountains, that's my business. That is 100% my business. But how many times do we lecture the owners and say, well, you don't need that. You don't need that form finish. You don't need that kind of polish on the floor. You don't need that kind of finish on these walls. You don't need a level 5 finish. This building's... How often do we start lecturing them, and in a way that we wouldn't be able to do anywhere else in this industry in life, right? It's just not right. And so if you don't know what the customer wants, you are not building it correctly. That's the conflict in this podcast today. And I just want to give you just a quick little story. How many times have we gone to build a building, and especially the concrete, and not known the exposed areas of the building, and built those in a way that it can be form finished, exposed concrete, beautiful the way we want? I know that I have not done the best job of that in the past and set the expectations. And I've learned recently and long ago that you have to know what the owner expects, and you have to know what portions of these buildings are going to be exposed, and we have to start with the end in mind. All the way in concrete. When I was younger as a field engineer, I always just thought concrete was a structure. But nowadays, we're using concrete and flooring and exposed ceilings and all of these different things as architectural components in these buildings, and we just have to know what the end is going to look like, and we just have to know how to build those things from the very beginning, because if we're building a column or a wall or a deck, and these are going to be exposed areas, we have to have that highlighted, we have to know how we're going to do it, we have to know the form finish, we have to know how to get the quality that we want, we have to know how to make it consistent, we have to get away from patching, and we have to make sure that we're building it in a way that we give them the type of ice cream they ordered to get the $5, right? So that's really the principle. Let me go through it. So step number 1 is we have to focus on the customer. Some people in Lean call it voice of the customer, or the voice of the customer, or customer needs. Whatever you call it, we have to know for every single thing in the building, what did the customer, the designer, the engineer, and the end users want in that situation? Sometimes there's this thing called conditions of satisfaction for a project that the project team puts together that might define that. Sometimes with the architects, knowing contractors, the really good ones, will come up with a feature of work area description, meaning if you have a complex lobby, they'll work out a detail or details or descriptions or bullet points with the designers to say, what alignments are important to you? What do you want this flooring to look like? What are the exposed portions? What architectural components are you going to bring out and showcase in this area? And they put together that information in an area feature of work board, in an area feature of work visual, so that the craft and the trades and everybody else can go put it in the way it needs to be per the prescriptive and proscriptive requirements, right? Also, we do features of work, feature of work descriptions, feature of work boards, feature of work visuals, and checklists by scope. And if you're not familiar with that, there's a quality process where if you take a scope, basically a CSI division section, or you can just take a scope on the project if you want to just call it that. Let's take concrete or flooring or ceilings or electrical or whatever the scope may be. And once you've bought out a contractor, then you put them through a pre-mobilization process, and then they go formulate or create the submittals that are needed for that. You do a pre-construction meeting, a first in place mockup, and an initial or first in place inspection to make sure that the crew is on board. And that pre-construction meeting is to onboard and orient the superintendent and the foreman. And then the first in place, the initial inspection, that first inspection of the mockup is to make sure that the foreman and the crew are heading in a good direction. That's the quality process that most general contractors follow to get quality to the worker, to the foreman. And if we don't have a remarkable checklist or a remarkable feature of work board or feature of work visual by that point that the crews can use to really install and have that board, that checklist, or that visual incorporate the conditions of satisfaction, incorporate the designer's needs, incorporate the inspector's needs, incorporate the owner's needs, incorporate the alignments, incorporate all of those exposed components. If we don't have that, how are we installing what the customer wants? And the answer is that we are not. We need to know what the most important things are. And so the vision for our industry is, in addition to submittals, in addition to RFIs, in addition to all of the things that are normally in our contract, we have to get to a point where these features of work, these visuals, this quality process, this checklist is an actual required submittal to the owner and the designers that is clear for the crew. There's no question. This is exactly how you build it. These submissions have to become a part of our industry if we are going to make a difference in quality control and quality construction. Now, you as a foreman, you use your 25-minute crew preparation huddle to teach. And you review with your crews, you review with your subforeman, you review with your leadman these features of work. And you make sure they understand it. You make sure they understand the steps, and you make sure they're visualizing it. And you talk to them in English and Spanish or Russian or whatever language they speak. And you make sure that you review that entire thing and that expectations are clear. And then the next day when you meet with them, you say, was there anything that you had to deviate? Any lessons learned? Any way that we can improve this? Any questions? Right? And everybody is clear. And you talk about that feature of work or that checklist, and then you go fill out your pre-task plans. And the best pre-task plans that I found have safety on one side on an 11x17 with an area where you can draw out how you're going to safely do the task. And then on the back side, you have the quality pre-task plan on 11x17 on the back side of that 11x17. And you have a blank space on half of it where you can draw out certain things and answer questions that your crew might have. Visual pre-task plans that talk about how you're going to install safely and in a quality manner the information on your feature of work boards or your checklists. That's how it's done. And this is what we need to teach workers. Stop, call, and wait. Like Paul Akers said, if it smells funny, if it tastes different, if it sounds different, if something looks wrong, if it feels wrong, if it sounds wrong, anything's wrong, you stop, you call me, and you wait. And me as the foreman, me as the team leader, I'll come and help you. We will reference the feature of workboard. We will reference any deviations. We'll make sure it's right before we start trying to put it in, and we will get it right the first time. Could you imagine if every crew had a feature of workboard, a 25-minute crew preparation huddle every day to communicate expectations, and every worker was taught to stop, call, and wait? We would have quality licked. I mean, we would have this figured out. Because the current condition is we just install what we always have. We just give them what we know how to do. We just go and do it and assume. And we end up paying for a different kind of an ice cream and getting a chocolate ice cream and having to pay for it. We literally are selling to the owner things that they don't want. And so the challenge is know what the customer wants. Begin with the end in mind. Teach your crew every day and teach them to stop, call, and wait. And the vision for this is that we get quality right the first time, which will bring us more pride, more money, more success, more fulfillment, more promotions, more everything, and will reduce rework, which will increase our safety on the project site. The vision for this is that we get this right. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, you want to give me feedback or do a podcast topic or an interview. Please let me know. We have to get this right. I want you to be successful. Until we meet again, I really, really hope you can take the time to see how you, or if you're a general contractor, how you, or an owner, how you can help this system be implemented so we can get quality right at the source. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.